جميلة محمد رائدة إعلامية وأول امرأة محجبة تقدم الأخبار في التلفزيون الكيني منذ العام 2002. تشغل اليوم منصب رئيسة تحرير ومقدمة أخبار في قناة سيتيزن تي في، وتعد من أبرز الأصوات النسائية في الإعلام الكيني. الكومبس قابلت جميلة في السويد على هامش لقاء استضافته الوكالة السويدية للتعاون الإنمائي الدولي سيدا في ستوكهولم للحديث عن المرأة والصحافة والإعلام الذي يتحدث عن الأفارقة في السويد.
When I started 25 years ago, there were very few female journalists, especially on television. In fact, there was no one who was doing news with the hijab. I was the first one in 2002. Now we are all many of us there. But then now the media has grown so much in the past 25 years that we have more women. But we still have very few women in senior editorial positions. I think we're only 4 in the whole of Kenya. But then now, that's one thing that worries me a bit. I wish there were many. But then in lower levels, we have very many women telling stories. The challenge with women in any job is your personal life and the job. They all move together at the same time. And I think for journalists, because we don't work normal hours, we work long hours, you travel. So it sometimes impacts your personal life and growth. But then now it makes me happy that we have more women in media, we have more women writing, telling stories, we have more women in the digital space, we have more women joining the profession. That's the other thing, women joining journalism, and yes, they are. And for me, that has really is amazing growth over the years. Yeah.
Okay. Are there specific challenges that female journalists face today in major media organizations? And do you believe opportunities have truly become equal?
Equality, in what, you have to think about in what sense. Yeah. In terms of when you employ someone, do you think about whether they're female before you give them a job or not? I think we more look at qualification. How much work have you done before? What have you studied? And I think when we get to that point, there is some form of equality in terms of qualifications of the job. As I said, it's a bit easier now than it was when we first started, because there are fewer women, like you could count us. There are 2, 3, 4. Now we have more women in the newsroom doing beautiful work, doing excellent journalism. Some of the best television anchors, for instance, who ask tough questions are female. And for me, that is a big growth. And I said we are lucky in Kenya in terms of our laws and freedom of expression. We're able to speak out more. And we guard that very jealously because we realize that the work we do is privileged in terms of who we have access to. I can go and interview a president or a minister, but the normal Kenyan on the road will not. But because I'm a journalist, I can get that. So we take it very seriously, the work that we do in representing the people, in getting answers from government, and in trying to ensure that we tell people what is true, what is real. Yeah.
And the third is, does your media coverage target African communities in Sweden? If so, what are the main areas of focus in your reporting?
We actually don't. We don't really talk to Africans in Sweden because we don't have a target audience here. Of course, we have a lot of Africans. I know, like Somalis, there are a lot of Somali community here. A lot of them are coming back. In fact, there was a news story today in Swedish media about how a lot of Swedish Africans are coming back. And they're in Nairobi, in Kenya. So that will be an interesting story now that I know they're there. But we don't specifically do stories that target Africans in Sweden. And I think we should. Yeah, it's important. If I knew there was a Kenyan community in Sweden here, I'd love to hear from them. I'd love to hear how their lives are. I'd love to hear how did they get here? How long have they lived here? Do they have to learn the language? Do they come back home? What jobs do they do? I would be interested, but no, we are not doing them. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.